58? I was right the first time. 58. Let's go. Nice. Okay, anyways, welcome to episode 58. It is April 4th here, which is April 4th. May the 4th be with you, of course.
No, that's next month.
I know.
That's Cinco de Mayo.
I'm just memeing. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo because it's
Let's go.
the 5th day of April.
Not Mexico Independence Day.
I'm just messing around. Today we have Austin with his sick hat, Steve with his sick hat, Kyle with his garbage trash hat. I'm just kidding, Kyle.
That's so mean.
Oh, we got a full pizza.
We got a full pizza. We got Jake looking fresh as always, and we got me in the Old Navy tee. So, and Kyle's wearing his Levi's.
He's wearing a Levi's shirt.
That's
Shout out to Jurassic Park.
And Steve likes dinosaurs, if you didn't know. So
all day.
Welcome to the podcast this week. We are a bunch of friends having a bunch of good time. We will be going through a few different things this week. Well, most importantly, there's a few big events that just happened this weekend, including the most watched NCAA basketball event in 20 years.
Holy crap!
Something like that.
2005 or 2004. It was like UNC versus someone. Anyways, in a long time. We also have a few things coming up this next weekend. The end of next week or the following is the end of the NBA and NHL season, as well as we have the Masters coming up this weekend. Go Tigers! So we're going to be talking about all of that this week. Awesome. I will start off with also saying we recorded a bunch of episodes for a bunch of different things this past weekend, so please be on the lookout for those. We've already posted a few of those. First one talking about Caitlin Clark and her amazing 2 games leading up to the finals, where she also had a good game. You can't really see her or the other team for that matter, as we'll get into that as well. And then the second video also posted, which we talked about the NHL point leaders so far this year. Mostly the goal leaders. We wanted to talk about that all coveted 50 and 60, more importantly 60 goal mark, as only one person has hit with a few people on their way to getting there. So we talked about that. So definitely make sure to go check those out over the next, week and a half, Jake? 2 weeks?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Yes, please be on the lookout as you are going to be seeing our off-season rankings pre-draft, as the draft is in just a handful of weeks. The plan is to be doing a draft reaction, which I think we did last year, so I think the plan will be to do that again this year. I know it's usually what we like to do as long as we can, so we'll be going ahead and doing that. But let's get right into it. So let's talk about what's already happened. Let's talk about the less important of the two this weekend. UConn went ahead and beat San Diego State. Is anyone surprised? None of us are surprised.
Not really.
Hey, our bracket killed it.
Yes, our bracket did win, which means we're all winners.
Yeah.
You can't say you're welcome because at least 4 people voted.
No.
At least 4 people voted.
I made sure that we were voting for UConn.
Austin, at least 4 people voted for UConn. So at the end of the day, we're all winners, and you.
At the end of the day.
Well, how about this? You don't win because you didn't want them to be on our bracket.
It doesn't matter. We as a group chose because there's a lot of other things that could have changed it. So,
for the record,
we as a group won. I'd like to point out there was 22 to 23 million brackets on ESPN alone.
Yep.
Our bracket was in the top 15,000, which is
Let's
pretty
go.
99th percentile, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah, which is pretty
I like to say
freaking cool.
I'm still undefeated, so.
Wait.
I did. We went over this, Kyle. I
You
won
were
last
defeated
week.
by all of us, including yourself. So you are the ultimate
So
dark
technically,
lord.
I also.
The only
You
people
won
he
all
didn't
of us.
beat was the group bracket.
Yes.
Yeah, I lost
exactly.
by, what was it, 80 points? I think?
His own mind was not stronger than all of ours combined. And that makes sense. So
Only by 80 points, though. That's pretty good.
Hey, 80 points. That's a lot of points.
Not
Anyways,
in this.
so, yes.
It's 2 games.
Well, it depends
4
on the
games?
rounds. It could have been one
true,
game if it was. So, anyways, if you guys want to talk briefly about it, UConn did not win a single game by any less than double-digit points throughout the entire tournament. That is a true stat, Austin. You don't
I see.
think about it.
No, I was saying the way you said it was weird.
Yeah, so it was really weird. UConn won every game of the tournament by at least double digits, which is
Yes, that's
absolutely
better.
insane and not something that you will likely see.
Um,
Go ahead.
Can you stop doing that?
This
Remember-
is your
No,
moment,
anyways.
Austin. This
I
is
was
your
talking about-
Literally
okay.
your moment.
This is
Your dog
literally
clearly
your
doesn't
moment.
want you to
Okay,
have this
so-
moment.
Yeah, right. No, Yukon baby. Yes. Number five, baby. We're gonna repeat next year. Mark it right here.
That's
I said it. I
a
called
that's
it.
a false
Repeat.
statement.
Oh
Repeat,
boy.
baby. First one since Florida in 07. Anyways,
That's
so back
false.
to the more realistic stuff. I said at the beginning of the year, after we went on that 14-0 run, we were going to be here in the spring. I called it. I said it. Here we are. What's insane is that they were able to. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna be suffering. Yeah, don't worry, Steve. Actually, that's for a whole other year until we lose. Anyways.
Oh Lord. It's gonna be a long summer, boys.
You're a Cowboys fan that can actually back it up.
Don's fan. But anyways, poor New Yorker. Anyways, they won all. They didn't lose a single non-conference game this year. That's impressive. They went 20-0 in non-conference games. So that also tells you how good the Big East is, and also just how different it is when you don't play teams the same, multiple times throughout the year and multiple years, right? Like they're not going to play Alabama probably next year. They're not going to play some of the other, probably not Iowa State next year, So it shows just how much a coach being able to coach against another coach year in and year out, you start to learn each other's tendencies, you start to learn that stuff, and so that carries over into games when you get close with talent and knowing, okay, this is what this coach likes to do here, this stuff you can kind of game for that.
Is this Hurley's third year?
This is his fifth year, actually. He took over in 2017 or 16.
I thought it was 18.
No, he took over, I think it was in 17. He had it was 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, and then 1 and 2 here. So anyways, 5 years he's been here. So to get his national champion in his 5th year is pretty incredible. And there's been a lot of weird stats that if you go and look at all of the title games that UConn wins, it's weird how they have so many things in common with their past wins. It's just I can't even come up with all of them right now, but I was seeing a lot of things that are just like, oh, let's see, 3 out of the 5 are won in Texas. The last time the Houston hosted was in 2014, and guess who won it? It was UConn.
So you're telling me anytime the championship game is hosted in Texas, bet on UConn.
Bet on UConn.
Got it.
Okay.
Whenever they go through the West region, they win their championships usually. I think 4 out of 5, or maybe even 5 out of 5. They've always been in the West portion of the bracket.
No, not in
2014.
2014, they were in the opposite of the West.
Okay, that's right. You're right. That's right. It was in the Midwest or something like that. Yeah, you're right. So I believe it's 4 out of 5. They were in the West. Like just weird things like that. Also, they typically are the ones that when they win, they're not the seed that's supposed to win. They're almost never the 1 or 2 seed when they win. They did do that as the 1 seed in '99, but otherwise they're 8, 3, and a 4. I don't remember what the other one was.
5
Yeah.
this year.
Was
5.
No.
Oh, they were a 4 seed. My bad.
I'm trying to remember what was the 04 one. Anybody remember what seed they were? Kind of want to look that up for me?
Sure. I got you.
What
year?
Either way.
04.
So 3. Were they also a 4?
No.
Actually, no. I think they were.
Year.
2004. I actually think they were a 4 that year.
Well, let's find out. Stay tuned. Keep talking, and I'll let you know.
But anyways,
keep talking.
So I just gotta say they are now a blue blood. I don't care what you say. They've got 5. They're tied for 4th all time behind UNC at 6.
They were a 2 seed that year.
They were a 2 seed there. Okay, so they've gone a 1 and a 2, but then the other ones have been a 3, 4, and an 8 or 7. So it is kind of interesting. But just a lot of weird things about UConn and how they are.
I think Joseph's was a 1 seed that year. That's fucking wild.
That is funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know I said in the group chat that I was going to take the stance that they're not a blue blood. I was actually using that as bait for certain people in the group chat to see if that would make them rage. And it wasn't you, Austin. That did not work, unfortunately. But I do genuinely think that the only reason why some people don't consider them a blue blood is time, just like we talked about last week. Austin, you weren't here for that. Were you here for that?
Yes, I was. I was here for not last week. We talked about the week before.
Oh, yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
here's
it's the same thing. It's still time.
Maybe it was last week. I don't remember.
It was last week because I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right. So it was.
It doesn't really matter.
Either way,
But
the last thing I'll say about the blue blood stuff, and then I'll be done talking about UConn for a little bit.
Just a little
Is
bit.
that-
Just a bit.
is that 30 seconds? Is that people are going to keep putting IU in there? They're going to keep, UCLA, some of those other teams. Now UCLA is different. They have 11 championships. You can debate all that stuff, but when you have a championship, you have a championship. And I'm not going to take that away from you, even if it wasn't a 16 team or an 8 teams field. It's still a championship. If we're going to put IU, and if we're going to say once you become a blue blood, you're a blue blood no matter what happens, even going back further than, back to like 87 when it was the last time IU won one. When we're talking about like this time span, stuff like that, all-time records, UConn has the same as like a lot of those. They're in the 1800s, 1700s, for all-time wins, that kind of stuff. So they're right up there with them. They've been good as a basketball program all the way back to 1901 when they were first there, or first started as a basketball program. And just took them a little longer, like Duke, to get there till the 90s to finally win the national champion. But once they arrived, and they have outproduced most of the blue bloods, actually every blue blood since they won a title. And they have been in more tournaments than IU, I'm pretty sure UCLA, stuff like that since then. So for me, they've now done it for a long enough time. They've got 5. They've outproduced half the blue bloods that are on the list for most people. And if you look at before they even won, they were in the tournaments. They were still there. They weren't necessarily a quote unquote powerhouse yet, but they have the tournament history, I think, in my opinion, to say you've got to put them there. So that's it for that.
Really quick before we move on to the
more important game of the
other
weekend.
game that happened. I just wanted to compare the Blue Bloods. Now, for the sake of this, I'm not talking about Indiana because Indiana seems to be one that we.
Indiana is an outlier, and they probably shouldn't be there anymore. But that's.
But so I just want to compare the Blue Bloods so we all can see where UConn stacks up. North Carolina has 6 titles, 21 Final Fours, and 39 conference titles. So what I'm looking at is College Basketball Report, and I'm assuming that is going to be regular season conference titles because of how many it is, not actual tournament games. So just saying, just for the record there.
That's fair.
Kentucky has 8 titles, 17 Final Fours, and 56 conference titles. UCLA has 11 titles, 19 Final Fours, 31 conference titles. Kansas has 4 titles, 16 Final Fours, and 64 conference titles. Duke has 5 titles, 17 Final Fours, and 23 conference titles. And UConn now has 5 titles, 6 Final Fours, and 29 conference titles.
Final Fours is tough there. That's the biggest outlier.
I was going to say Final Fours is really the only outlier. But when you have same amount of titles that Duke has, and more than Kansas has, that kind of seems to be pretty big.
But we also didn't talk about things we were talking about last week is the timing, and that's just a big thing. Like the blue blood is historic, and I agree that UConn has the numbers, but timeline-wise, they're not historic yet. So many of those titles, like 3 of them, feel so recent. I can remember Kemba. You're muted, by the way, Austin. I can remember Kemba hitting that shot. Like, that doesn't feel old to me. It doesn't feel historic. Like, that's the issue.
But that's my thing for when it comes to Duke. Again, Duke only won the first one in 91 or 90. Yes, it's a 7 different year difference for their first one versus UConn's in 99. But they both have 5 since the early 90s on to now. Yeah. So it's not like Duke was doing anything. Now, they have more Final Fours, more appearances if you go look at further back in the history. But again, if we're talking about the stuff that really made them a blue blood, like if you went back to the 90s, nobody's going to say Duke was a blue blood. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But like they hadn't won anything.
When I make this point, I make it as the point of someone who doesn't think that they are, and why they might not think they are, and it's just because it feels too recent. It doesn't feel like.
And I am okay with that. Some people saying that until obviously that's why I then put that out. But when it comes to blue blood, like that's I think tired. The only thing I'll ask about this before we move on to the next topic: do you guys think? Because I saw this, and I said this with Kyle, and I am going to call out the Field of 68 Media Network. For those who don't know, they're a YouTube media network that does college basketball every year. So if you haven't, and everybody watches this, go follow them. They're actually awesome. They're really good. They're going to give you a lot of great insight. I can't remember the guy's name. but one of them that was down at the Final Four last night, they were talking about whether or not this was an actual dominant run or whether or not UConn just didn't play anybody.
Bro, what?
I hate the fact that people are like, oh, well, they played Miami and they played these teams and blah, blah. If
But Miami beat
the team. Exactly. If you beat the team that you know, they were saying, oh, they weren't the big boy teams like Kansas or Houston or these other teams like Alabama. First off, UConn beat Alabama earlier in the season.
I mean,
Guess what?
San Diego State
Trounced
beat
them.
Alabama.
Right. That's what I'm
Miami
saying.
beat
It's like,
Texas.
That's a dumb argument. What they call them Mickey Mouse championships.
Yep.
The problem is that in such a big tournament like this, like the idea, like there's a reason why these big teams lose, and it's because they're not as big as they seem, which is why, in my opinion, that's BS in such a large tournament.
That's
like
more than BS.
Yeah, you could say stuff like that in like the NFL or whatnot. Like some flukes happen, like they get easy matchups, but this is not one of those cases.
And I want to call that out. And first off, they played Gonzaga, and they were saying, oh, well, Gonzaga, blah, blah. Gonzaga was still a real team. People were picking them to win the championship. So don't act like you got, like, and I heard some of those guys saying that on this stuff. So that was crap. Now you can't rewrite the history that you were talking about.
I mean,
second of all, I am tired of people saying, oh, well, it's because, flukes happen and, like, what is it? Brandon Miller doesn't shoot well during the tournament, but he shot great throughout the whole season.
I mean,
you didn't show up when the lights got big. That's on you, not on anybody else. You didn't show up as a top 5 lottery pick, and that's on you. You should have been. You choked it away. These boys didn't. So don't come over saying San Diego State's less because they beat you because you had a fluke game. And my thing is,
entertaining, Austin.
Bro,
Yes.
my bigger problem is that it's not like UConn skated by any of these dudes either.
Exactly.
They dominated everybody they played. It wasn't close.
People are just jealous. man.
Every
That's all it
game
comes
was-
down
Don't
to.
get me wrong.
15 or
By
more or
the
whatever?
time the Final Four came around, I was an FAU fan. But damn,
Hey, FAU would have had a better game than San Diego State. I
bro,
can't-
FAU played San Diego State better than Alabama played San Diego State. I don't want to
Oh,
hear it
yeah.
anymore.
That buzzer
And-
beater. Ooh, that was beautiful.
Oof, that was
buzzer
nice.
beater.
I
And-
saw that.
oh,
I was so happy, and I saw that, and I was like, damn. Oh, yeah,
And-
whatever.
Hey, shh. And people say this all the time. They're like, oh, that's why we play 7-game series in, like NBA and stuff like that, because then you get to actually see who the better team is. I don't fully agree with that, because what is every single person, when we get to NBA Finals, conference champions, what do they always ask for? Stephen A's asking for this. Other people are going, what do we love the most in sports?
Game
The
7.
Winner, go home, take it all, game 7. That's what they want to see. And yet, when this is a winner, go home, every game for 6 games, that's a whole series, even if it's not the same person. And no, they're over here, well, that was a fluke because they didn't have to play these guys because they had a bad night 3 games in the tournament. Really? Maybe they had a bad night because those people were just that much better than them and they made them look bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
UConn
So,
didn't.
I'm done with
UConn
this.
didn't have a bad night. UConn didn't have a bad night.
They never had
Nope.
a bad night.
Speaking of teams that didn't have bad nights, let's talk about LSU women's basketball absolutely flooring Iowa.
Bro, that's a fact.
Oh, yeah.
I tuned into the fourth quarter of that game. I was unable to watch the whole thing. And I saw
What was the final score?
95-79, something like that.
Bro.
Oh,
No, LSU throttled.
It was, I might look at LSU versus Iowa.
We were just talking about how talented their
It was
player is as well.
102-85. 102-85.
Okay, Caitlin Clark is still genuinely
So
the
she
most.
From
She was
what I
fantastic.
watched, she was still fantastic. She was in foul trouble as well as their star center was in foul trouble. So that's tough.
Caitlin
On
Clark
top,
still had 30 points that game. for the
yes.
record.
Yeah.
And her team kind of failed her a bit because they didn't do nearly as well as they had done previously. On top of all that, that LSU team scored 102 points in 40 minutes.
Unheard
which,
of.
by the way, is very hard to do in the NBA.
Yep.
Never mind. Never mind.
Nonetheless, the WNBA, nonetheless, college basketball, men's or women's. So that's crazy. They were lights out. They were fantastic. I couldn't be happier for them. We could talk briefly about the end of it and what
I
happened.
think we
there.
have to.
I've got a strong take here, and I need it
have
to be
to
heard.
address it.
So here's my take on it. As a kind of third party from it, I saw Caitlin Clark's thing when she did the time previous. I saw both sides of the coin here. Essentially, Caitlin Clark did it while walking towards her bench, just straight to her bench. Did it to her teammates or whatever. Okay. Then I can't remember her name.
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
Yeah.
I remember her face, but her name escaped me.
I remember her
Angel
nails.
Reese Yeah, right. They're very nice. Angel, she plays basketball and kills it like that. Think about that. Isn't that
Dude,
crazy?
I so many of them do that. I'm like, how?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
So Angel Reese goes and does it. Now, I'm fine with her doing it. That doesn't really bother me. I don't love that she kind of tracked her down and did it right into her face.
Yeah, that's the
That
part.
kind of just, but I agree with
Mhm.
Peyton Clark, who, by the way, just a couple hours ago said that there should be no punishment for this, and she shouldn't got any criticism.
No.
I agree. It's all in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
I didn't see her flipping her off. I didn't see her pushing her. I didn't see anything like that. I do agree. Wrong time, right place. But I think that Caitlin Clark was right. I think that in general, I would have said this even if she didn't say it. You could say a little too much, but no reason for criticism here, or very
Yeah.
minimal criticism.
I
Okay.
completely agree, Nick.
Okay.
Are you on like the other side of this, Jake?
No. Honestly, I'm saying if you have a problem with it, fuck off.
Yeah.
No, I'm on
I
the
see
side.
what you
I'm
did
with Emmanuel Acho and Robert Griffin III here. Caitlin Clark, first and foremost, has acknowledged the fact that they talk a lot of trash. It's what they do. Honestly, it makes the game more entertaining.
Yeah.
If you think that trash talk makes the game less entertaining, you don't actually watch sports and you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not
And you never
sorry.
played, probably.
And you know what? Angel Reese is fucking entertaining. I love it.
Yeah.
Like
Yes, her versus Caitlin Clark. would be amazing.
LSU versus
Playing next year.
Iowa was more entertaining than UConn versus San Diego State. I'll tell you that right now.
Listen,
Unless you're a
Like-
UConn fan,
I
yes,
also
for
wanna-
sure.
Like,
I also want to say
talk
that
to it.
LSU Iowa game had more viewership than every single NHL game that weekend.
Oh.
Not just Sunday night.
Jake,
That
I think you're
weekend.
right. That's the actual what would you say? Fourth major sport in America. Not
Yeah,
hockey.
women's college basketball
Yeah.
is the fourth major sport in America now,
Dude,
Kyle.
and
I
it's
don't know what
not
to tell
just
you.
Caitlin Clark, it's her
No.
against this team that has a lot of really great personalities, all who, regardless of this one moment, are quite respectful and quite like they're very good for the game and they're good for WNBA. They're good for basketball in general. So
Listen,
Listen,
man.
Women's college basketball is superior to WNBA. I'm just gonna say that it is way better.
I
listen.
think
whatever. reason.
At the end
I
of the
think
day,
this-
it is good for the sport, and I don't care what anybody else
Yeah.
has to say about it.
Yeah. I
Here's
agree.
here's what I'll
did
say.
y'all wait,
Kyle, go ahead.
go? No, go ahead, Austin. You're good.
Okay, and then you say it.
Yeah.
I agree with Nick and I agree with Jake on this. That well, actually, I don't think it was too much. I think it was.
That's why I said like
really fine.
maybe a little too
Like,
much,
I'm-
like wrong time, right place. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe don't get right into her face, but like even so, who cares?
I'm okay with players getting like to an extent. Like I don't think you should because you know that something's gonna probably end up happening. Usually, like if you get in a player's face, they're likely gonna want to punch you or something, especially in that kind of moment. So I would never tell my players to do that if I was coaching. But as a fan, I'm okay with that just because I'm okay if the other player like Caitlin Clark did, where she just kind of like kept turning away from her, just trying not to like she was being smart about it and not getting into something with her. Plus, she really didn't have any reason to. You got trounced in that game, so you didn't really have a reason to say or do anything.
I think
to
her
leave
team
apart.
got trounced. I don't know if she got
Mm.
trounced.
Okay, but fair
Well,
enough.
you
She
know what
couldn't-
he means. Like,
in the end,
They
you
lost.
and your team did not, live up to what everybody was kind of hoping, obviously. So, point being, do I think that it was disrespectful? I do, and I only say that because it's not like Caitlin Clark said anything. Well, I don't know. Maybe she said some stuff to her. I don't know, but she never did what she was doing to what Angel Reese did to Caitlin Clark with the whole this and then pointing at the finger. None of that was done at Angel Reese from Caitlin Clark in the previous games, obviously. So to me, it's like, why is did she say something that we didn't know about? Were you guys talking about it throughout the game? Maybe
they were trash.
apparently-
They were trash talking
Yeah.
throughout the game.
She's
Like,
apparently
they-
a superior trash talker and trash talks all game. So I'm sure she didn't say anything too ratchet because usually that would have come out already. But
Yeah.
I'm sure like it was very there's a lot of heat during that game
And
and she outplayed everyone on the court, by the
Yeah.
way. Like she had the best game of anyone on the court. The problem is that the next four best players were
we're
on
all
the
on
other team.
LSU.
Yeah, like that's
yeah, and that's
unfortunate.
fair. So to me, it's more of something like that. Hey,
Awesome.
Justin.
Well-
To me, it's just that. Like I'm saying, you know what?
Dan?
If there was trash talking happening that we couldn't see, then that's fine. But do I think it was a little disrespectful? Yeah, probably. Especially considering the game was definitely in hand for a long time. Like it's at the end of the game like that. I don't think you should be like. if you hit to me, when you do that stuff is when you are in a closer game and you
Or you hit
the
like a
tag
game
drop.
winning 3 and you just like go like
Exactly.
this, you know, like you do a
Exactly.
little sleep. Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
still okay with it either way, but to me, if I'm a player, I'm not really talking a ton when I'm up like that.
Yeah.
Unless they came at me, like if Caitlin Clark came up to her right at the end there and said something to her like "you're nothing" or something like that to me, then I go,
Yeah.
scoreboard. Like that's when
Oh
I would
my
talk back.
lord.
But in the end, to me, I'm okay with it. Give me more of this. The men's needs more of this because, I think it was Max.
The men's
Kellerman
game has
today
become
said-
too respectful.
Yeah, when was the last time we had someone
Kyle,
like this? And, like,
we've had Kyle waiting to say something forever. I need to
I
hear
know,
this.
it's
One
okay,
last-
it's
one last
okay.
thing, one last thing. To me, like I said, with the men's game, reason is because we haven't had quite the rivalries we used to have, and that's a big part.
Getting
I'm saying this
soft.
big part, and it's coming back. It's gonna come back. The Big East is going to revive college men's basketball
This year, really, this year.
this coming this year, but in the next 5 years. You can quote me on this in 5 years if I'm wrong. Because the rivalry is gonna be back. St. John's, Georgetown, all those they're gone on the come up again. The Big East is gonna be back. It's gonna be Power 6 in basketball, and those things are gonna be back. And I think if we get some of that stuff happening, what's happened is we've lost the focus on the players. And Max Kellerman said that earlier in his show, and he said, you know, sports when it comes to like narratives and things that we want and fans want, we want stories, want storytelling to be done, right? We want the Angel Reese and the Caitlin Clark stuff to happen again. We want that rivalry to keep happening. We want these things going into tournament games so that it's more than just, okay, this team won, this team won. Because if you really break it down, look at last night's ratings and viewership for UConn versus San Diego State. If
Nobody
you were not a
cared.
fan of those teams, nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
Right? If this was Duke and UConn, oh, that would have been a big game. If this was Duke and Kansas, you know, if this
Duke
was
and
like
UNC.
last year,
Duke,
Villanova,
UNC.
Kansas, which actually was still a low watch game compared to other ones. But
which is wild.
what we
It
need.
was
We need
Coach
that stuff
K's last game.
yeah, it was. So we need
Wild.
what?
but-
No, I was talking about
Duke,
UNC.
UNC?
Did I say? Oh yes, no. UNC I meant and Kansas last year. At the
Oh.
time. But either way,
Yeah,
yes,
that
also
was
Duke
another-
and UNC. But
I was
anyway,
like, that Duke UNC game was.
no. I meant
all-time
the
classic.
UNC and Kansas. last year
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was right.
But anyways, so go ahead, Kyle. I just think we need more of that in the guys.
The only thing about with the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark thing that I really think I don't even think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. Like I kind of enjoyed watching them go back and forth. Like I think that's enjoyable in sports. The
Oh, yeah.
only thing that I had an issue with was the rest of her team was celebrating and she was still following
Yeah, right.
Caitlin Clark. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we get your point. Like
She
I don't
followed her for a while. Yeah,
it was like 20 something seconds, which like
you
again,
did it. You did this.
It
you
kind
did
of gets to a point that it's a
And-
little bit much
Exactly.
when you're intentionally. So like you look at
Caitlin Clark tried to avoid her like what 3 times.
yeah, so,
yeah, she had to
The
move.
first
and
time,
move and move.
Yeah.
Like at that point, now you're actually trying to antagonize
Yeah.
and really go after that person. You do
That's
it
the
once,
tough
you
part.
do this, and then
You
just
want
walk
her
away.
to acknowledge, and she's not going to do
yeah.
it. You just
Yeah,
you just
obviously.
bounce her, yeah.
that's the but like
Oh,
so with
whatever,
that
Jake.
whatever good for them
Jake
to
is
be
a big trash
competitive.
talker for those who don't know.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
all day long, dude.
Biggest. I still
I
haven't heard
do
the one
want
time
to.
he beat me in Madden by whatever.
Bro, catch me on the actual field. It's worse.
yeah. Oh god.
I do want to
It's
talk
way
about that
worse.
refereeing though. That refereeing in that game.
Awful. It's
I don't know if
fucking
you guys
awful.
saw that tech that they gave Caitlin Clark.
Fucking awful.
She threw the ball behind her. Not even threw, literally just like batted it.
Yeah, I saw that, and by the way,
Mm-hmm.
Iowa had went down from down 17 to down by 9 at this point, and
Yeah.
they get given a technical, and they get to shoot 4 free throws. They missed two of them, but
Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest joke I'd ever seen. I was like,
So,
what the hell just
I
happened?
was was trying to. I had just tuned into the game because I also couldn't watch it from the beginning. So I had like just tuned into the game at that moment, and what I was watching, they were like trying to zoom in on Caitlin Clark's face to see if she said anything, and that's why she got the tech. And they zoom in, her lips don't move. Like you can literally see her just stone cold face bounce the ball back and got a tech. And like the announcers were like, "What? What just happened?" Like everyone was confused, and I have like no idea why that happened. But like, also the LSU coach was very
Hey, I liked her suit.
no, her suit
Kim
was
Mulkey,
awesome.
right?
Kyle.
Yeah,
Kim Mulkey,
I
is that
saw
her name?
I saw her go and jump and cry like a baby one time, and I kind of lost full. But otherwise, she was pretty.
Bro,
good.
that is a legendary coach in women's college
Yes.
basketball. Who you
no,
talking
I'm
on?
not saying.
Who
I'm
you
not
talking
saying
on right
anything.
now?
I'm saying shouldn't be buddy with the ref trying to get her to call calls for you. That she's doing
That's called
all-
strategy. That's called strategy.
Stop it, Jacob.
That's called strategy.
That's every coach.
Jacob.
That's every
Stop
coach.
it.
Just
Stop
because she's
it.
better at it, don't hate.
Stop it. Cut it out.
You think I'm
I
kidding?
can't
I'm
right
not.
I know you're not, and that's why I can't right now, Jake. Anyway, that's my piece. Good job for both of them. They both teams played their hearts out. It was a great game.
Yes. By the way, I'll make one point. And King Clark agrees with this. Iowa should not go to the White House. Why the fuck would they go to the White House?
Wait.
That's so
Bro, yeah,
wait.
Jill Biden said he wants.
Oh, no,
both. Jill Biden said she wanted both of them to go to the White House. Angel
Wow.
Reese's response to it was hilarious.
It was so funny.
I'm glad she
Laughing
just
emojis.
laughed, and she
It
was
was-
like,
it was-
"This is a joke."
Yeah, she literally put
Like,
the
it's-
crying laughing emojis and then just said a joke.
Don't give him this
Why?
like
They lost.
don't give him this like sympathy participation award bullshit. Like, come on, that's honestly
Bro.
kind of disrespectful. Like, you guys did okay. Just
Yeah.
stand
That's
here in
You
the
guys
Disrespectful
only
to
lost by
LSU.
what, 20?
to both teams.
Bro, it's
That is
disrespectful.
disrespectful to LSU. Like,
Yeah, it was
hard.
tough. I saw it and I was like, dude, that's so stupid. Like,
I didn't even hear that. That's ridiculous. to
I
me.
had a lot of thoughts of why she was thinking that, but none of those are something I will share in a public forum.
Yeah.
Bro.
We're going to
On that
move
one.
on to the next
Yeah,
subject.
We're getting off of that.
Let's talk a little bit about something going on in the not real sports world mixed with the real sports world. I say that as a fan of the WWE my whole childhood and someone who still enjoys the occasional Cena appearance in my life. The UFC and the WWE, I don't think it's official yet. However, there are reports that they're looking to, well, the parent company of the UFC is looking to buy the WWE and essentially create some sort of merge when it comes to parent companies, and that of which
Who
they've
owns
brought
it? It is
the
official,
UFC
by
and
the way.
WWE. It's official.
It is official.
It's official.
Do we know
Yes.
dollar amounts by chance?
21.4.
4 billion.
Hey,
Holy
hey,
shit.
that's a lot of money.
Justin, it's just-
Justin coming out of nowhere.
that boy
Holy
played,
shit.
that family made a crap ton of money
Wait,
from
so who owned the WWE?
Oh, by the way, it
Why-
was the WWE who bought out UFC. By the
this.
way.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I thought it was the other way.
So there's the WWE, but there's a parent company at WWE, right? They have like their own
Yes.
board of directors. It's almost like how Google isn't Google, it's Alphabet
It's Alphabet,
Inc.
right.
And they own all that stuff. So it's the same sort of thing. And that parent company, which owns a few different things like NXT and stuff like that, like different wrestlers, also bought the UFC. Now the positive side is this is not at all to change anything about the UFC. It was strictly to create an environment where there's mesh between both, which is freaking awesome. And you want to know why? Because there's already combinations of this with Ronda Rousey, with Conor McGregor coming over and doing some stuff. This is already happening. This is just a way for them to have probably be cheaper in the long run. On
Also
rights.
make more money off of it.
Wait,
definitely.
so who's the parent company? I'm just curious. Who?
Endeavor. Endeavor is the
Okay,
parent company.
thank you.
Yes, which is the WWE's parent company.
Right, that's
Yes.
what I wanted to know.
Well, created by
Ari Emanuel or
Vince
something.
McMahon. Well,
Yeah.
that's the current.
Well-
Vince McMahon stepped down, so
Yeah. Vince McMahon is the.
is the
WWE.
main. He was the
Does he
well, he
still have
was the WWE owner, and then he
Yeah.
stepped down and gave it officially like 2 or 3 years ago to Triple H, and his daughter, who's Triple H's wife.
Yep.
Roll
Uh,
back to when he also owned the XFL before.
Yes.
Mhm.
The Rock
It's
did.
where he sold it to The Rock, which is its own cool thing. So
Yes.
anyway, so that's I think it's amazing. There's really not a lot to talk about with it. To be frank, I think that it really is going to help when it comes to like. I
Can
don't
we
think
get
it's
Joe
gonna
Rogan
create-
in the WWE?
It's not going to create a ton of mesh like
Yeah.
that. It's not going to mesh a bunch of things together. But I do know how well the WWE sells shows and markets and all this stuff, and that's only going to help the UFC. That's really my feeling.
The
What is so
only-
funny too is thinking like Joe Rogan could commentate one of the wrestling matches and then join the wrestling match. and all that
Exactly.
chaos.
Like they,
I
like, they
wish-
throw like
Dude,
what's his name?
Joe Rogan versus Logan Paul WWE.
Wait, okay, wait. So
Give me
like,
a Pat McAfee v Joe Rogan match. That's
Oh
all I
my
want.
God.
Yo, did you
So,
guys
like-
see what's his name? Kittle and Pat McAfee did it this weekend?
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
You
fucking
guys know? It was
hilarious.
hilarious.
Wait, did
But
you
anyway,
guys? Okay, sorry.
Is
I'll
it-
I'll put that in a minute. But yeah,
I
it'd be
just-
funny to see someone get thrown off into the announcer's table, and then for some reason Pat McAfee and like Joe Rogan both are like and then just go at it. That'd be awesome.
I wish UFC was more available. Like easier to watch, like WWE is.
You mean so it wasn't pay-per-view?
Yes, essentially. Like, I don't mind if, like, even if it was just like on ESPN Plus and you could just pay for the ESPN Plus subscription or Paramount, like whatever subscription you have to pay for to get it. I wish it was that simple instead of, because I would totally watch.
No,
UFC,
Kyle, you got to go to the
like-
Buffalo Wild Wings in Concord to get the UFC matches.
Mhm.
You think I'm kidding? My
Don't
friend does
no.
that. My friend does
You
that
think I won't?
every time
Yeah.
there's a match on.
Now that I know that is a thing, I'm totally doing that.
I feel like Dave and Buster's would have it too.
I think they all do.
sports
Most
bars
of them
that
do.
stuff, yeah.
But like,
Go for
that's the thing.
B-dubs,
Like,
though.
I wish it was just more available, like not just simply pay per view, because I would totally watch more of it. Like I understand why they do it as pay per view, because they can charge a shit ton of money for it and make a lot of money for it.
Well,
but
every household that watches it is paying $100 for the match. Yeah,
Exactly.
so
No, I know.
paying $100 for the fight, and then they've got to get their
Their
money's
last
worth. They have to
30
watch the
seconds.
entire card.
Yep.
that's fair.
It's its own thing, and I don't know if you guys know this. WWE has started to utilize Peacock, which is another big thing for this.
Oh.
Where
Oh, I
now
didn't know
Oh.
you only
True,
NBC kind of bought
Peacock.
the rights to it. So WrestleMania, if you had Peacock, you could watch WrestleMania.
Well, and Peacock.
Oh,
and
sweet.
that-
We just
all-
got Peacock. Perfect.
So that just happened. WrestleMania just happened like last weekend.
I'm pretty sure Peacock comes with like Xfinity customers too.
Yeah, it does because
Yes, it does.
Comcast.
Also on Peacock, you can catch up on your favorite John Wick movies. This episode's brought to you by Peacock.
It's not.
Stop
Stop
right
It's
now.
brought to you by- it's brought to you by
Uh,
Steven's Peacock.
No, that's true. Point being, Steve's remarks are not true. It's super cool. I think it's amazing for the UFC. I don't think it changes the WWE much, but I think it's amazing.
I don't think so. I think it will just have like more crossover, essentially.
Yeah,
is
here
what it
and
will
there.
do too.
Oh, wait.
Uh,
Speaking of, I just thought about Pat McAfee. Did you guys see them talk about the BYU stuff the other day?
Oh no.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nobody
boy.
saw that?
No.
Okay.
Wait, what
You
happened?
guys know what soaking is, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but where's this
So-
going, Austin?
I'm not gonna go into
This
what
is
it is.
this is
but
go-
they
guys.
brought
Welcome
this
to tonight's
up on-
episode.
They brought this up on his show the other day, like I don't know, a couple days ago,
Okay.
because they were talking about BYU going to face West Virginia because Pat McAfee went there and whatever.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
somehow they got down this rabbit trail, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, well, they're because you're not allowed, like because they're so strict at BYU and stuff. Like, well, down in what is it called, Allentown? Is that what it is, right? For
I
West
think
Virginia?
so.
Anyways, I think it's Allentown. They're known for like partying and stuff like that. And he was like, "You think they'll be like tempted? Just needs one person to get like tempted to go out and like party and all to do the stuff they're not supposed to do." So they went down this rabbit trail of being like soaking in the bunk beds and all this
Morgantown.
stuff that happens. Morgantown, that's what it is. And
I'll have to watch this clip.
it's
because
so
this-
funny because
Yeah.
AJ and him are both just like
hilarious.
they do what, and then Pat McAfee
They
goes
did
like
what in this
this. He goes into his chair and he's like, "Yes, they'd be like kicking like this." So they called up what's his name? He was linebacker for the Patriots.
Oh,
Teddy
Willie
Bruschi?
McGinnis.
No. Recently, he's now playing. Who's he playing? I think he's playing in.
Is it Kyle Van
He
Noy?
went to be yes, thank you, Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
They called him up and they were like, "So like, is this a thing like soaking there?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "But I never did it, so." Oh my gosh, you guys haven't watched it. It's so
That's
legendary.
so
But
funny.
I love them.
This episode's
Okay,
always so
well,
bright.
Pat McAfee and his antics aside, let's talk a bit about let's do this first before we start talking about the playoffs for the NBA and NHL. They'll be starting in a couple of weeks. The Masters start this weekend.
Masters!
It will be a very interesting tournament to watch.
Scheffler
um,
repeat.
Scheffler
hope
could
not.
very well repeat.
Roll Tiger.
That would probably be the most
Yeah.
boring win.
Why do you not want him to win?
Because I want Tiger Woods to
Go
win.
Tiger.
Well, okay, yes, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like Kyle, why do you not like that?
Because he's
I just don't
betting
want a
for someone with
repeat.
less odds.
No, I like. Well, yeah, that too. I want him with better odds, but also I don't care if he wins like multiple like throughout his life, but I like seeing more.
I have a
than-
list of people I would like to
I like-
win.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd like.
We
I
got
want
Tiger
Rory.
Woods. We got
I want Rory
Rory
to win.
McIlroy, Ricky Fowler,
Yep.
Justin Thomas. Those are my 4 people. I would take any of those. And Colin Morikawa. He's pretty cool too. Let's do 5. I'll just do those 5. Any of those 5 win, I'm happy.
Tiger has not qualified for the Masters, by the way.
As a past
yet.
winner, he can qualify.
I was gonna say he's
Oh,
always
okay.
qualified.
As far as I know,
I
he
forgot
was
about
playing.
that.
In
No,
fact,
no,
I
that's
saw a
right.
post.
No,
That said
he
was
is.
playing.
Once you win any of the majors, you're all invited back if you want to. So
I forgot, but I was just talking solely based on his like ranking right
He
now.
is playing in the Masters. He is
Forgot
playing.
about that
He tees off at 10:18 on Thursday.
I don't know who I'm like looking at to like as my betting person, as the person I want to bet.
I do want Tiger to
There's a
win. Like
couple.
obviously that's my
You
pick.
obviously put money on Tiger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
Tiger's
I'm
not
not doing
winning,
it.
but I really
not
want
doing
him
it.
to.
Put
You know, I
$5
want.
on him.
Actually, you know what I really
dude.
want to win? Charlie Woods. I want Charlie Woods to go in as a 12-year-old or 13, I think he is now, and just win.
Okay.
Now,
well,
boys, give me
that's not
some
happening.
putter, and I'm winning this whole
Kyle,
thing.
do you
I'm the
want to talk
best
about
golfer
anything
out of all of
specifically?
us.
Who are you betting for to win this weekend?
Me.
There's a couple people that I'm really liking, but the one who I'm
Tony
kinda really
Romo.
liking.
Jim
Tom
Nantz.
Brady.
I'm really liking Max Homa, to be honest.
Peace out, Jim Nance.
Hey,
Oh,
by the way,
so
that is the
true.
thing we didn't talk about. Jim Nance did
Oh,
his
yeah,
final four, or
That was sad.
that was
His
very
final
sad. He
sign-off.
had a little sign off. It was a little cringe, but it was amazing because it's Jim.
He
Nance.
just didn't know what to say. He was like,
You
no
guys are all
words.
family. I appreciate you all.
They have dreams. They have
He goes,
visions.
Thank
Embrace
you all
those
for being-"
visions.
And he finishes off just, thank you for being friends. And I was like,
Oh, it's kind of
It
adorable,
was
though.
That's
pretty
funny,
we
bro.
all we all
Like,
loved him. He is one of those people that like there's no negative feelings. Like he's just been like a person throughout our life that we've just loved. Like
Well,
he'll
'cause,
still
like,
be
Facts.
doing the
he is-
Masters, by the way.
Yep.
He'll still be
Yeah.
doing golf. He just won't be doing basketball or football. I think he's done. I think
Which
he's
is-
No, he's still doing football.
yeah,
He's
it's
still
just,
doing
I think,
NFL.
just the March Madness tournament, but which is a little sad.
Yeah,
for me
he
because
needs to.
obviously
They might
the boys
fire
that,
Tony
like,
Romo. Who knows?
he
Bro,
was the
Tony
voice
Romo's
that
one of the
got
better
better.
announcers in the game, dude.
I gotta
He
say,
had a
Jim
rough
Nance is,
season.
Jim Nance like the same as
I don't
like
think
when
it was
we
that
like
bad.
Mike.
Near the end of the
Mike
season
Green-
was
Mike-
rough.
What's
People
the
just get
announcer in
pissed at
the
Tony Romo because he
NBA
gets
finals?
every Chiefs game and then he fucking says the same shit every time. That's why.
What are you saying,
Oh, no, Chris-
Austin? Let's get
I
back
said,
on
who's
track.
the-
Anyways.
Who's the guy in the NBA finals that always goes bang? Mike Green.
Oh, I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about?
Forgot
though.
his-
I know who you're
Romo?
talking about. I just don't know his name.
It's Mike Green or Mike. Is it Mike?
Look it up.
Yeah, hold on. Let me quickly look that up. But what I was saying is, whoever that guy is, I'll bring up his name in a second. It'd be the same as like losing to me.
Mike
losing to
Breen.
Nance. Mike Breen.
Breen.
That's what it is.
Hey, Breen. B.
Breen. Breen.
Breen,
Okay.
Breen.
So
Green,
like
green,
losing him is is the same as like to me losing Jim Nance this year for like the March Madness tournament. Like
Yeah.
when he no longer does the finals and stuff like that, we don't get the bang when somebody hits a deep three on like that. It'd be
That's so crazy. Steph Curry from downtown. Anyways,
Bang!
so that's this weekend. I've been watching a lot of baseball games. In fact, I don't even
Oh,
know.
me too.
We can talk briefly about the start of the season. I've watched pretty much every
Aaron
Red
Judge
Sox
is on
game.
pace for like 100 something.
Yeah,
home runs.
whatever. Red Sox are 2-2 to start the season, which it sounds bad, but with how their pitching's been going, that's not bad at all. They've been averaging.
Your pitching is terrible.
They've been averaging 8 runs a game in 4 games, which is pretty insane.
That's ridiculous.
I'm gonna say is let me see how you guys are in 30 games, just how you were last year.
Fair enough. What I will say is that they have lost both their games by 1 run, and they've won both their games by 1 run. So it's been very.
They
close.
just broke even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been very close. I mean, again, it's so early on; it doesn't really matter. Like Yankees are 3-0.
Quick first week reactions for you guys from the new implemented stuff.
Amazing.
I love it, actually.
I do love it. I think they need to be better about the pitch clock stuff.
What do you
yeah,
mean?
I was
Also,
just gonna say.
Machado just got ejected for that, which is kind of funny. But
What do you mean?
he got a K for the pitch clock violation. I don't know if he actually did. Like I haven't seen it, but then he argued with the ump and he got ejected.
I think it's amazing. I'm able to watch games and like not want to pass out. Like, and by the way, all the Red Sox games have scored 15 to 20 runs a game, and they're still only barely over 3 hours. Last year, those games were 4 hour plus. So like,
Minimum.
I'm not complaining at all. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Did you guys
Yeah,
know?
because this weekend I napped, which is what I'd rather do than watch baseball.
Did you
The
guys
fun-
know that baseball games back in like 20s and that time were actually under 2 hours?
Wow.
See?
No, they
See?
didn't have
And they were-
commercials.
And
That's
back
why.
then, well, yes, there's
Well,
that
they didn't
too,
have
but,
commercials,
like,
and they just pitched the damn ball.
well, also
Yeah.
back then, it's funny. They actually started complaining back then, the players and a bunch of the media and other stuff back then about them being too long.
Ah!
So MLB has been trying to fix this
Kyle,
for
what do you wanna
100
say?
years. Basically.
Just as far as like it's concerned, like I like the idea of the pitch clock. I just think it's being implemented. I don't know how like it's. I feel I just want there to be a little bit more, not consistency, but like understanding behind it. Because I feel like all of a sudden, like I was watching, I don't even remember who it was. I was just watching, and all of a sudden, they didn't have the pitch clock on the screen. And hello, hold on, I have a video playing in the background. Ignore me. I don't even know if you
Usually
we
do.
can't hear it. It's okay.
I'm just talking.
I can
Steven,
hear
what the damn it, Steven. But anyway, so I was just like, all of a sudden, the pitcher just got an automatic like ball, but there was like no explanation, and even the announcers were like, "We're not really sure what happened because the pitch clock is still winding down. We'll try and figure that out for you." So like, I like I don't like the idea of the pitch clock is great. Like I love the speeding up of the game. I think that's been great. I love the idea of the no shift. I think that's actually been really fun to watch, and I
Well,
love.
no
A lot
shit.
more
I
hits.
know,
A
I
lot
know
more
the.
hits.
I know there have been like people moving the outfield around to implement a shift, but I like the no shift on infield essentially. 'Cause
Technically,
as
they
Nick
can
said,
also move like one side of the infield as well. Like not to
they-
the other side, but they could like.
they have to
technically
stay.
move
They
the-
have to
the first
stay
baseman and the-
in the actual infield though. They can't have.
Yes, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like you could technically move the second baseman and the first baseman together if like you know a guy's gonna pretty much hit to that
Oh
one.
yes,
and
that's.
then move like the one. So they're gonna do some sort of shifts, but it's a lot
Yeah.
better than either way.
I also
It's
like the
genuinely
bigger
interesting.
bases. I like the bigger bases. too.
Base
I,
bases I love. I love that
love
they're
The
gonna
pizza
do
box
more
faces.
there's so much. There's already been more steals.
Yep, literally they're
I
already.
also.
The Orioles
how do
stole
you feel
10
about-
bases in 2 games.
How do you guys
That's
feel
amazing.
about the pickoff rules?
The pickoff rules I do like, and that
I
goes.
do too.
That's also they had to do that no matter what because they did the pitch clock. Like you
Yes.
can't have the pickoff rule not be there if you're doing a pitch clock
It's
because
too
otherwise.
important. Dude, I used to watch guys try and pick people off 6 times. I'm like, dude, you just wasted 4 minutes of my life trying to pick this dude off and he hasn't moved.
Right, and the reason they did that, obviously with the pitch clock, is if they did not, they could reset the pitch clock whenever they wanted by just picking off. So that's why they only get what 3, I think, per.
I think it's 2.
They get 2 freebies, and if they don't get them on the
Right,
third,
that's
it's
right.
a ball.
That's right.
Oh,
So you get, and that's all game long, by the way. That's not per
Every at bat,
attempt.
every bat.
I thought it was just per game.
No,
They're
that's
just-
every at bat. As far as I know, it's every at bat.
okay.
I'm going to look it up.
But
Yeah, that's a good thing to look.
the other thing that they did is they also made it so like you can't because you have to come set now. You can't like a lot of guys would do like they'd move their front foot a bunch and never really come set fully. Now you have to like set your feet and stay there and then go. They also like Nestor Cortez is going to go ahead, Nick.
It is 2 per plate appearance.
Right.
Without
So-
penalty.
Okay. So per
Without
batter.
penalty, 3
Yeah.
per.
The
technically-
rule
technically 3 if you
resets
go.
if a runner or runners advance a base within the same plate appearance as well.
Okay.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Then I love that even more than I already did. That
Yeah, so,
that's,
so they get
that's
3
great.
chances, 2 really free, and then obviously the third you have to get them.
Third strike, you're out, basically.
And
It's the
what I
theme in
find
baseball.
hilarious is that they already had to come up with a new rule for the pitch clock because of Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
They literally call it the Max Scherzer rule because he was manipulating it so well that they were
He
like,
was
okay,
pitching too fast.
he was pitching literally too fast,
fast.
and the guys
And
weren't
that's-
ready. Because how the rule was set up, he found the loophole and was pitching before the
Immediately.
guys were ready.
Immediately grabbed the ball and was in his stance. Is
Yeah,
it
they have to be ready with 8 seconds or 7 seconds or more left on the clock, and so essentially the pitchers have those 7 seconds to pitch, but they should be ready at that time.
that's
so
hilarious.
for those 8 seconds, the batter has to be in the box ready, and the pitcher has to be ready, and then they both have to. It has to be pitched between them. The
Did you see
thing was,
what Nestor Cortez did?
Yes.
That was so funny. For
But,
those of you who don't know, really quick, I'll just briefly explain it, then you can continue, Austin.
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez is a pitcher on the Yankees who got called earlier in the game for pitching too fast. And so they gave the batter a strike. So then Nestor Cortez went
A
to
ball.
do his windup. Oh yeah, the ball. He gave Cortez the ball back. So what he did is he went to do his windup and started like wiggling in his stance, like
his
kicking
favorite thing to
leg
do,
up.
honestly.
It was absolutely hilarious. You know what? I'll fucking reenact it. Screw it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm
No.
Oh, do
I'm
it,
doing
Kyle.
it.
Do it.
Oh man.
Am I doing it or not doing it?
Do
Do
it.
it, Kyle.
Do
Do
it.
it.
Hold on,
Do
I have to
it.
find the ball. Hold on, all right.
While Kyle does that, the two people that know baseball the best
This was hilarious.
are on the bottom of fantasy, and the one person who doesn't know anything about baseball is on the top.
It's usually
Kyle,
Kyle
that
in
was-
any fantasy
That
team.
was not even close.
That was my direct replica.
Oh my
Wait, Kyle,
lord.
Kyle, do it again. I was paying
Kyle,
attention.
we lost a
Just-
viewer
No.
just because you were doing that.
Yep.
You know,
But-
that sucks.
but-
They'll come back. I have faith.
But either way, the whole funny thing to me is just that they already had to come up with a new rule because Max Scherzer is that much of a genius and manipulating the game and rules. And
Yeah, that was.
Yes. It's been good though. It has
So it's been good.
dramatically sped up games. It has kind of cleaned up some of the BS that some people were doing.
you're getting better web gems, you're getting
time.
better defensive plays, and I love that. That's
Yes.
the thing that the shift did.
been
is that
fun.
You actually have to be a good player
Yes.
and not just in the perfect position.
More runs, more steals, better base running. To be honest, it's made people have to be more sharp, and pitchers are going to catch up. Right now, it's
Mhm.
tough, but pitchers are going to catch up. So
Well, and they're also going to catch up once their defenses catch up and are more used to actually playing defense, really,
yes,
not just standing in the zone that you know the guy's going to hit it to you. So
I gotta say, it definitely is intriguing to see how the NBA is gonna react to them actually having to be entertaining. So I'm really looking forward to this.
all in all, I think we all agree it's been positive
Yeah.
to at least some amount. It's been very positive to like some of us, but I think it's been positive no matter what. It's been fun. I do hope that the Red Sox can get their stuff together. And by the they're 2-2. Against two not ideal teams. I mean, the Orioles actually have played really well.
the Orioles
They
are a
played really
good
well.
Yeah.
good team. We'll have
Yeah.
to see if they can do anything the rest of the way
The
because
Pirates are so-so.
Pirates,
and lost the
no, they're
first
bad.
game.
They're bad.
But the Red Sox have a lot of new pieces this year, including Yoshida, who hit his first home run the last game.
Mhm.
Adam
pretty good,
Duvall.
actually.
Do want to talk about this briefly? There were two players of the week, an AL and NL MVP. Adam Duvall on the Red Sox was the AL Player of the Week. He hit like 500 or 580 or something like that in 3 games.
He had a walk-off home run, right?
Yeah, he had a walk-off 2-run home run. Yeah, he's been playing gross. Even
That
yesterday.
was hilarious, though. The reason why he had a chance to hit that
Yes,
walk-off
but
home
in
run.
all fairness, that it literally both teams had dropped the ball. It just happened to be in a worse time for the Orioles.
Yeah.
So
So,
And it's impressive for Duvall to be the one who got it, considering Aaron Judge also hit over 500, had 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. That's how you know that kid balled out this weekend.
yes, it was been crazy. So honestly, that's it for baseball. What we could talk we talked briefly about that. We could talk more briefly because we're gonna have a big part of episodes in the coming weeks be about the
Yep.
NHL and the NBA playoffs. But
Mhm.
we could talk a little bit about what we're looking at. We did an update last week about where we were at and how we were doing. Let's look real quick. So let's start with the NHL because they start sooner, right? So
Bruins
they're
are
gonna-
gods.
yeah.
they're going to start a little bit sooner. So everyone in the NHL has a minimum of 75 games played, which means at most they have 7 games left over the next week and a half, right, Kyle? It's the end of
Yes.
next week is the final part of it. Awesome.
It is. Hold on.
Yeah,
I
'cause
need
they're a week
calendar.
I mean, I can tell you when the Bruins' last game is.
Never. They're always
Wait, I can
playing.
just look. I can
I
literally
need a
just look. Hold
calendar
on.
because I don't know the day of the top of my head.
Friday, April 14th. So next Friday.
Yes, that.
That is the
Yeah.
final 2 games, and they both sucked. So it's literally Avalanche versus Predators and Sabres Blue Jackets. Yes,
Yeah.
last NHL game of the season, Sabres Blue Jackets. That's a real barn burner
You know, actually though, if
For-
everything goes right, that could be the
for the
Sabres.
first best chance. Yeah, I know.
That if everything continues the way it has been, that is the chance the Sabres need. Because if they win that game, they could potentially make the playoffs. Like last game of the year on that game. Like so.
Doesn't even
Sabres-
matter. Roll bees.
Well, okay, that's not the point. We're not talking. They already had their shining moment in the playoff. Hold on, all right. We get the other teams who haven't made the playoffs to talk about.
Oh, the teams that don't
The
matter.
Rangers.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Who
Justin.
said the Rangers? They're already in the playoffs.
Hey, the Rangers have a chance of playing the Hurricanes round 1 still. so
That would
that's
be
pretty-
brutal for the Rangers.
No, I love it. We've dominated them this year. No, I'm not worried at all.
Oh yeah, let's
Absolutely.
Oh
play
yeah, because the
Carolina
regular
in
season
the-
matters so much.
Last year the Hurricanes swept us in
Okay,
the regular season.
Well,
and
let's
then
chill
we-
out. So the top 3 seeds in each team is essential, and both sides of the East are locked. Top 3
Yes.
seeds, not where they are necessarily. The Bruins are locked at number 1. They've been locked at number 1 for a week and a
Yeah.
half. They've really been locked at number 1 for a month and a half. So, the Bruins are at 125 currently. They will have the first seed in the whole East, but first in the division. Maple Leafs will likely have the second seed because Tampa Bay is not. They are on a 3-game win streak, but before they were on like a 5-game loss streak. So, I figure they'll probably keep that. So that's probably what's going to be 1, 2, 3. And the Bruins will play either the Islanders or the Penguins, which last I looked, the Panthers are ahead of the Penguins. So,
Yes.
Penguins will pull it back.
Not right now.
Mhm.
Penguins. Do you mean like score wise?
I mean, point wise. Right now, the
yeah.
Penguins are up by 1 point.
Yes.
Anyways, so right now it's Islanders are and then let me clarify. It's probably gonna go Hurricanes, Devils, Rangers. There's still plenty of games left where that could change, obviously. But that feels like the most likely thing. With the Carolinas playing pretty well recently. So that feels like the most likely thing. And right now it's a battle for the wild card. Panthers, Penguins, Islanders. One of those 3 teams is not going to make it. And it seems like the Panthers, who I think we had as our number 1 team in the East, or at least our number 1 team in the Atlantic when we did it.
Yeah, I
Kyle.
think we did. Hey, I for one did not think they would suck this bad. I didn't think they'd be as dominant.
I,
as
for
last year.
one, still, by the way, was right about the trade. So that's all I say.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I did get that one wrong.
Jonathan
Not
Huberdeau is not even close.
Yeah, not even.
Not even remotely close.
Yeah, no, you're right. I
anyways.
was wrong there.
On the Western side, we joked last week about how none of the teams had qualified for the playoffs, if that's how you want to look at it. Now 5, 3 in the Pacific Division and 2 in the Central Division have officially gotten to the playoffs. However, seeding is a clusterfuck. Nobody knows where any of them are going to be. The 3 in the Pacific are all within 4 points, and the 3 in the Central, including the Avalanche, who technically haven't gotten the playoffs secured, but will likely just have to win a game.
Yeah, they just have to win basically one game.
And they have an extra 2 games in hand. That's all. They're within 2 points. All 3 of those teams, 98, 98, 96. So that's a clusterfuck. Nobody really knows. But it's going to be really good. The wild card race in the West is very interesting because we have a team at 89, 92, and 87. So 5 point difference there with 5 to go, 5 or 6 to go. So very interesting. Go Seattle Kraken. I hope that they make it.
I know.
I also hope they make it.
I gotta say, I'm surprised at the NHL that we have 2 expansion teams being very good off the bat. I mean, you look at the Golden Knights that were like a top 5 team their first season. So
they made it to the Stanley
Top
Cup
2.
final. And they were a top 2 team in
Their inaugural year.
yeah,
And the
I was
Kraken are
spitballing,
good
but
pretty
basically,
quickly.
yeah.
The point to note here, the biggest thing that I would like to add is that the Bruins are at 125 points with 5 games to go. The record is 132 points. They would need to go 4-1 the rest of the season in order to.
Which the way they've
To
been
break
playing,
it.
they might go 5-0.
Yeah. And they do play
Kinda
a
hard
couple
though,
decent
right?
teams. So they have to go 4-1. So they
Devils.
can lose a game, and they will get the point record. If they get 3 more wins, they go 3-2. They will have the wins record. At 63 wins. So this current wins record. Is
I think they
62.
will get that. 'Cause
I think it's a guarantee they at least tie the wins record at
2
62.
and 3.
Hopefully they can get 3-2 at least and gain the wins record. And hopefully they can just win 4 or 5 to get the points record as well. They have been. What's crazy is the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks, a total of about 10 games. They have been resting 1 to 2 starters almost every single game. Like the last game, they went to overtime. They had rested Patrice and McAvoy, and you could feel that those 2 people weren't on the ice, and they still won the game. 2 games before that, Marchand, Patrice, Lindholm, and someone else were all resting. By the way, this team still doesn't have Taylor Hall, and also doesn't have. Wow, I was gonna say Nick Ritchie, but that's older.
Nick Foligno.
Nick Foligno, thank you.
Yeah.
They don't have Nick Foligno on the 4th line, who has been a major 4th line contributor, and
and they
we've
don't
kind
have
of
Nick
missed him.
Kellogg either.
That's true. And Taylor Hall with Tyler Bertuzzi. Tyler Bertuzzi has been playing fantastic. Orlov and Hathaway have been incredible, but Bertuzzi was kind of struggling a little bit, and now he's been playing. He's had like 3 points in the last 4 or 5 games. So I know
Bro.
Kyle from the little he has watched or when he has been able to watch, they played well, and they look like the best team in the league right now. Hopefully that continues.
I mean,
Yeah.
they have all year.
They have all year. I couldn't have been any more wrong about this team for like a third of the season. It wasn't until December I admitted I was wrong about them. But
You've only gotten more wrong, in all fairness. So.
I admitted I was. Hold on, no.
I know, but I'm
admitted it.
saying you've only gotten more wrong in your take.
Oh,
so it's probably
yeah.
good you just accepted it early. Because you're like, I'm not going to say anything until like April. Like that would have been.
And then it was December.
My original statement was the trade deadline, which was February or March, whatever. It was.
Dude,
So-
imagine
Yeah.
if you waited till then to say anything and we got better at the trade deadline like we did. Like significantly better. Oh my god, you would have been in your bag. You would have been pissed.
But anyway, other
Yeah.
teams to like keep an eye on.
Yeah.
The Sabres are likely out of reach at this point. However, if the Panthers struggle and the Sabres continue to do well, which they have been, the Sabres could sneak into that second wild card spot. As long as the Penguins and or Islanders also start losing. So Sabres are kind of in a rough spot. However, they aren't technically out of reach yet. And in the Western Conference, the Kraken and Flames are really the two teams that are the ones battling out. And technically, the Jets are in possession of that second wild card spot, but the Flames are hot on their tail. So the wild card spots in general are still anyone's game. It's really exciting to see this ramp up for the playoffs.
It's awesome.
I love the battle for the wild card because teams really fight to only lose in the next round. It's hilarious.
Dude, the fight for the Central Division's crazy too. So it's gonna be a very fun last 10 days. We have literally 10 days. It's exactly 10 days. So it's gonna be a very fun 10 days. Now transitioning over to the NBA. Kyle, if you have nothing else.
And
This is also getting very interesting. They also have roughly 4 or so games left. Just using the Celtics example, they played 68 games, so they're right on par. They'll start right at the same time or so. The only difference is that the NBA has the playing game that usually takes a weekend, and then that it usually pushes it a little bit. However, the East is the top 5 seeds are set. The top
They're
5 seeds have
likely
all
not
clinched.
changing.
The
They're
Bucks
also
have-
likely not changing.
Yeah. The Bucks had or the Celtics had a chance taking over the Bucks. They did beat them. They destroyed them in that game. However, the 76ers have been playing awful. So if the Celtics beat the 76ers tonight, they'll guarantee at least second seed, which is really the goal. If they're going to beat Milwaukee, they're going to have to beat them in Milwaukee, and I don't think they care about doing that.
Just like last year,
Otherwise,
they're
the
fine.
76ers have not looked good, and they always suck in the playoffs. Cavaliers and Knicks have both looked really good. They're both very young teams. They're very similar to last year, and I don't know how much better they are than last year. The Cavs are way better, but
I think the
Cavs
Knicks
are
are
way
better.
better.
I think the Knicks are
Knicks-
better than they were last year.
they're still
Knicks-
young.
yeah.
That's
Knicks
the
are
issue.
still young, but we are still way better than last. Like last year, we were horrible. Like
That's
last
also
year,
really-
I think Knicks are referencing 2 years ago, but I think the Knicks are better than they were 2 years ago because last year they didn't make the playoffs.
correct.
Yeah, they were bad
Yep.
last year.
And
I
I
think
think-
it's partly also because Randall was pretty bad last year.
I think Brunson has added some stability to their backcourt too, which has been huge for them. But
Yes.
And Josh Hart.
And the Cavs look really good. In fact, the Cavs are one of only 2 teams that have really had the Celtics number this season. And the other team is very close to being out of the playoffs, but they'll probably get a play-in. In the
this is the
Bulls,
Magic.
so.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the
no,
Magic.
Now the Magic will be just the one game.
I
and
want the
they're out of
Magic to
playoffs.
make it so
Yeah.
bad.
For some reason, the Celtics have an issue
Oh.
of playing down to opponents, which isn't an issue in the playoffs because you're never going to take an opponent in the playoffs not seriously,
fair.
even in the first round, especially because they're not playing the 8th seed. They'll be playing the 7th seed, which will likely be like Miami, who they had to play in the conference finals.
Last
so,
year.
yeah, kind of a big deal. Kind of a
kind
team you
of.
want to beat. So that's a good thing.
And-
In fact, that might be best case scenario.
Yeah, and the
Um,
Celtics have just shown everybody. Yeah, when we want to be that team, we are.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've already
Last
done it. They obliterated them. Everybody's like, "Oh, just wait till Chris Middleton comes back." No, Chris Middleton with the Bucks got destroyed by 50.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a tough game, but really all the spots
You
are
didn't
set.
win it last year.
Top,
I-
top
Oh
5
my
seeds
God.
are in.
Did the Bucks
won
beat the
the
Celtics
East.
last year?
We'll talk about the
No.
West.
But you
We
didn't
gotta talk
win
about
the
the
ring.
West. Okay. The Nets are pretty much guaranteed to make it. They're looking. They're a very
Brooklyn
different
Bridges,
team than they
baby.
were like a few months ago, but they're there. The Heat will definitely make it. I think the Nets are like one game out of making it. By the way, the Heat will
Yeah.
definitely make it. The Hawks, even though they're the most mediocre team in basketball,
Mid.
really there's a 4-point spread between the 10 seed and the 11 seed. So I think all those teams need to do is win 1 or 2 more games in the next 6 in order to get in. So and all those
Nick,
teams are 500.
all
or
I-
better.
Nick, remember you thought the Hawks would make it past one round of the playoffs? That was
The
great.
Hawks are the 8th seed.
all-
No, do you
all
remember
I wanna
last
see-
year when you had them going to the
Last year
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're
Okay,
gonna
if the
beat
Hawks make
Miami.
it, I'm taking them to go to the second round again. I don't care.
Oh my god.
The third round last year,
In
for the
the
record.
much more interesting conference here, the Western
Yep,
Conference,
West
where
is-
the 4th seed is only 5.5 games ahead of the 10 seed, and 6.5 games ahead of the 11 seed, and the Mavericks are the 11 seed. It's insane. It's pandemonium. The Mavericks could go anywhere from the 10 or the 11th seed all the way to I think the 6th seed. Like that's freaking crazy. Right now, it's pandemonium. There's really not a lot to talk about other than the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and
Go
Kings. already
Suns.
are there.
Not Suns. Sorry, go Kings.
Yeah, they're already all locked in.
Yeah,
So
First
Isn't-
playoff
isn't
appearance in
KD
16 years.
Now,
We're
isn't
more to talk about
KD
next week.
injured right now? Isn't
No,
KD
he's back.
injured right
He's
now?
back.
Oh,
He's
he's
back.
back.
we'll be
Alright.
able to talk more about them
All-
next week because we'll have a lot more like
Yeah.
guarantees.
All I
Um,
can
but
say
yeah.
is I want to see Brooklyn, which right now they have a 2-game lead over Miami for the 6th seed, to fully be in the playoffs,
Mhm.
and not have to do the play-in. So I really hope they do make it there, because they are actually tied with Phoenix with the same exact record
Since the trade.
Wow.
since the
It's like they
well,
get
I don't
rid
know
of
about that, but
KD
either way,
and
they're
Kyrie
43 and
and nothing
35,
has
Brooklyn,
changed.
and Phoenix is 43 and 35.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have the exact same record since I think Brooklyn has a worse record since the trade deadline. But the point is, right now they both sit with the same record overall, and that is hilarious to me. And I really hope that Phoenix somehow drops the last few games and goes into the play-in, and Brooklyn does not.
That'd be
That would be
hilarious.
amazing. And also, I hope Dallas does not make it into the play-in, so Kyrie can suck a big fat.
No, but
It-
Luka.
here's the thing
No,
with
don't-
Kyrie.
Yeah,
I
bro,
knew this was coming. I
Bro.
saw this coming when he got traded to the Mavs. I honestly was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they got worse. And look at that, and they're barely in
They're
the playoffs.
so much worse.
They're
Kyrie's
way
so
worse.
overrated.
The Mavericks had a 90-something% chance to make the playoffs before the Kyrie trade. They have less
Yeah.
than they have
It
less
was
than a
96.
7%.
It was
yeah.
96.
90
It dropped to 6.
Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
absurd.
bad.
That's absurd.
Wow, it's like Kyrie is
they-
so overrated, and I knew it wasn't going to work out.
It's
Oh,
not
They were-
just Kyrie's
They were
fault,
4th in the West when the Kyrie trade was made, Kyle.
It's not just his fault, Kyle, but it is a
No,
lot his
It's,
fault.
I know,
it's
but
definitely a
it's not just
catalyst
him.
for this fall.
It's not just on.
It's
Kyrie.
not ideal.
No.
So,
I mean-
anyways, I just hope they make it, because that
Yes,
would be
next week-
hilarious.
Next week we might have a solid picture. We might be able to do one of the brackets.
Yep.
We'll see. At the very least, the following week we will do those brackets. I don't know exactly when both the playoffs start. We'll figure that out for next week. But we'll see what we can do in terms of. I think that the play-in will be at the same time or right before 2 weeks from now, which means we'll be able to do the NBA that week because we'll actually know the play-in team. I mean, we'll see next week when we have all the seeding. But regardless, did anyone else have anything else they wanted to talk about this week?
Yes,
Yeah.
the ideal NBA Finals matchup is the Boston Celtics and the Sacramento Kings, and you cannot change my mind.
I don't know about
Interesting.
It is ideal.
Switch that with the New York Knicks and Sacramento
Fuck the
Kings,
Knicks.
and then it is
Fuck
perfect.
the Knicks.
Also, the
Oh, we're gonna talk about our favorite
Gotta-
fantasy.
gotta
Cool.
be the
I love
least-
Harry Potter.
I mean,
Whoa,
I do
whoa,
love Harry
whoa.
Potter, but
That
yo,
would be the least viewed
Steven
finals
and
all
then
time.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Also, the NHL playoffs start on Monday, April 17th. So
We should do
it's
it
gonna-
next week then. We'll
I cannot wait for
We'll
the
try our
Rangers
best.
to do next to nothing. This is gonna be great.
we'll see about doing it next week, or we'll just do an episode of it. Honestly, screw
Yeah,
it.
we
We'll-
might.
we'll-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way.
Now, Steve,
either
what
way,
did you
we'll
want to
make
say?
it.
Yeah, so I saw reports today that Bill Belichick was shopping Mac Jones around to other teams for a potential trade, which comes after him, which kind of stems from him reaching out to Alabama coaching, former Alabama coaches and staff members on what to do on offense because, wow, it's like 2 awful fired head coaches be appointed our offensive coordinators. Crazy. We don't do anything on offense. And then the guy who, I believe he's the offensive coordinator, that Dan O'Brien was, or Bill O'Brien was the offensive coach, I believe, for Alabama. So now we hire him. It's like, wow, it's like you should have listened to Mac Jones. So
It was. He was the offensive coordinator. Mac Jones taught him the offense before he graduated.
Yep.
The most important of all that being that I did see that. It doesn't mean anything unless he gets traded or moved or anything.
True.
And it's all rumors. Like, Bill Belichick shops anyone and everyone on the team. He shopped Tom Brady a couple times. Like,
He literally traded Gronk to the Lions,
Gronk.
and Gronk said, "I'll retire if you do that," and voided
Yep.
the trade. He did do that. He's done that.
Literally,
Yeah.
Gronk wakes up and goes, "Wait, you want to trade me where?" Yeah, I'm retired. Sorry, you can't trade me.
So the exact
Like,
point
oh
is
my
that it doesn't matter until it matters, and right now it doesn't matter. So,
yeah.
anyways, anything else?
Nah, man.
Go onto our hockey Twitter. There is a poll series going on for polls of the best hockey city.
Also, follow us on
Also, follow us on TikTok.
On
TikTok.
I was
Follow us
gonna
on
go
the
through this
TikTok.
spiel, everyone. Make sure to
okay,
go
we
follow us
wanna
on
say
all
it.
socials. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and definitely make sure to check out any past episodes if you're at all
Hit the
interested.
noti.
We'll also be posting additional episodes, as I talked about earlier, on various divisions of the NFL and our current grades for them pre-draft. Definitely make sure to hit the notifications button if you like to watch. We're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And definitely make sure to go check out the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do polls on Twitter essentially every single day. Not only on our main Twitter, which is usually for general sports for many different things. We do have a hockey Twitter as well and a soccer Twitter. Kyle is currently, as he said, doing a draft for the best, or I guess a bracket for the best hockey cities.
It's
Boston
Boston.
included. Definitely make sure to go vote for Boston, not for New York. And with that said, I hope you all have a great week. We will see you next week as we get close to the NBA and NHL playoffs. Have a good one.
Be kind to